Hello and welcome to I Am. My name is Eric Faria. I am your host, and it is my pleasure to have here with me today Darut McGregor, who is a songwriter and also a men's group facilitator. Hi, Darut.
How you doing?
Good. How are you today?
I'm great to be here.
Really, it's a pleasure to have you. I know we were already talking before the cameras started rolling, and I know it's going to be a good one. So can you talk a little bit, Darut, about your journey, your life journey?
My life journey.
Yeah, like condensed, right? Yes.
Well, I was born in Jamaica. I came here when I was about 6 years old.
Oh, wow.
And grew up in New Rochelle, New York.
Not too far from here.
Not too far at all. And that's where I eventually was going to meet my wife to be in middle school and high school.
Wow.
We reconnected years later, and at that time I was heavily involved in my music, where I was really promoting a lot of underground hip hop in New York and doing a lot of shows with my group I and I Mighty Lockdown at the time. And from there, you know, we became married, and my thing about my music, which I want to talk about later, but that was always the driving force for me. You know, pushing forth conscious music. At the time, it was really trying to introduce Rastafari into the hip hop landscape.
Oh, wow.
When I was a young man, and getting that message across. So that was very important to me. And as I continued to, you know, get a little bit older, you know, you have more responsibilities. I moved away from the music a little bit more to take care of my family. And within that time frame, my wife and I became very involved in doing a lot of different workshops. And in one of these workshops, I had a situation where I ended up with two good friends of mine, two men, and they were helping me out. I was having a hard time this weekend, and I was thinking to myself, why don't we do this more as men? Like, how come we're not here for each other? To give each other that kind of strength when you're kind of uncomfortable, you know, and almost in a moment where you might not think it may be the best thing to have, to reach out to your friend that may be another guy, but it was very refreshing. It was very compassionate for them. It made me feel very loved. It made me feel like I need more of this. You know, these guys were there, you know, getting me water because I was like dehydrated, and like fanning me and giving me lemon and taking care of me.
Taking care of you,
totally taking care of me. And I felt like this is something that I felt, well, it's a little unique, you know, that you get this experience where, and it's beautiful that you get to share it with friends. And at that day, I said to them, I said, you know, we really need to do more stuff like this. We need to have times when men can come together and really be there for each other. Now, I didn't realize at the time that there were men's groups and different things happening across the country and in the world, you know, at that time. So years later, I would call him my father-in-law. He was my wife's uncle, and he kind of stepped into the role of like her father after her father passed away. And he had passed this book on to me called King, Warrior, Magician, Lover. And I had this book, King, Warrior, Magician, Lover. And so I had this book for about a year in my house and didn't think much about it. And one day I'm cleaning out the closet and I come across it, and I said, you know what, let me start reading this book. And the book totally blew my mind, and it really changed my whole perspective. And the King, Warrior, Magician, Lover are the 4 archetypes that men have within themselves. Now, and this is kind of based on a lot of Jungian philosophy. But these guys, Roger Moore, I believe his name is, or Carl Moore, the author that wrote the book, they give you these breakdowns of how you're coming from, you know, boyhood energy into male energy. And how you're trying to find yourself with balance across these 4 archetypes. And so in finding this book, I realized that for many years of my life growing up, I grew up without my birth father. I had a stepfather. And I had a stage name, which was King Nagus. And Negus is king in Amharic, in Ethiopian, and so basically I was calling myself King. And when I realized that that was one of the archetypes, and I was like, there are 4 archetypes, and here I am doubling up on one.
What about the others?
What about the others?
Yeah.
So that means for a large part of my life, without me even knowing it, I was living unbalanced, right? I was focusing solely on this king archetype.
Yeah.
And so much of it that I wanted to double up on it. And I'm figuring that a lot of that had to do with me not having my king as my father around me, right? So I was trying to make up for that, you know, and I was living a very rigid and dogmatic lifestyle at that time too. So it all kind of coincided with this polar shift of that king energy, not really being at my highest self, but really polarized on this one side, almost becoming tyrannical, you know.
Wow.
So I love
with
my
yourself and other
with
people?
Myself and probably with other people and not knowing
course,
it. So I love my wife immensely. So I can only imagine if I was putting her through something and not even realizing it, you know. But she's just so amazing and was supporting with me that, you know, she was one of the people that guided me more into saying, well, yeah, then you need to explore this more. You know, as I'm sharing with her what I'm reading, she's like, well, you need to explore that more. You need to get more into that. And so it really said, yeah, well, I'm going to try and start balancing this out. You know, I'm a songwriter. I need to get more into that part of my aspect of my lover and getting into that art more, and being the warrior, which I realized that I did train for 9 years as a martial artist. So I do have that warrior energy. Maybe I do need to cultivate that more along the lines and get into my spirituality, which then cultivates my magician energy, you know, and look within my consciousness a little bit more, and learn how to open up my heart, you know, and find that new space to really try and hone in on what this divine masculine is supposed to be all about. Okay. You know, so this was over the course of maybe a couple of months while I'm reading this book.
Well, that's fast, actually, a couple of months.
Yeah, I mean,
I thought you were going to say a couple of years.
No, over a couple of months, I'm reading this and I'm trying to put all of this into action because, like I said, I was very lucky that my partner was who she is, you know, my wife. It
was really sort of an awakening that you had. It was like you were ready for it, too.
Oh, right, because what I was going to say is, you know, we had been doing these different workshops and these different meditations throughout the years.
And then this one finally
So with me finally finding this book, which was like the key, you know, to open this next door into this other phase of my life. You know, I had all these things that I was working with and pondering for all those years, but didn't really have the construct to put it together.
Got it.
And now I finally had something that said, hey, Darut, Roots, this is it. You know, this is where you need to be, and this is where you need to be focusing your energy. And so, say a year later, after me really getting into this book, I lose Waldo, which was very traumatic for me. And Waldo was the man that gave me the book. And right when I lost Waldo, the group that I'm a part of, called Awakening Man, we had our first men's weekend.
Okay.
And this was 2 years ago.
Okay.
And so I'm thinking I can't possibly go. I need to stay home and I need to be there for my family through this really difficult time. But I did end up going to 2 out of the 3 days for the weekend. And it was the most transformative experience I've ever had. I didn't realize how much I needed to be there. And how being around other men at such a vulnerable time in my life, how that would shape me and how I could get the strength that I really needed to be the man that I needed to be for my woman and my children at home, so that I could come home and be that balanced man, not be polarized into just my emotions of losing this other great figure who was very important to me, but now being able to push through this and manifest the lessons he taught me. You know, manifest the gifts that he gave me from that book, and now I could actually really now live this out, you know. So that first year when I went to the men's weekend, amazing, amazing. There were about 60 men.
Wow.
From different walks of life, different age, different races, different religions, and the workshops that we went through, it was facilitated by a group called Everyman. And so salute to every man. They're amazing. And they are definitely another gateway that got me into this work, because not only did they facilitate that weekend, but there was like one little small circle that I had with the brother Sasha, that's one of the New York representatives for Everyman, and that kind of made me think, oh wow, these things happen?
Yeah.
Men can get together in circles? I thought only the women did that.
Right.
You know, so that kind of gave me a little insight that this is something that is possible. And so after he came and he helped facilitate our weekend,
yes,
which was 3 days where men are cooking for men. We're camping out. There are no women there. There's music, so there's dancing. There's a talent show. Men are sharing their talents with each other, and we have breakouts where you can get into some very deep dives and really go deep into some of the issues that men are dealing with. And that was what really helped me, because here I am. I'm coming in super raw after losing this amazing martial artist, Marine, outdoorsman, man, you know, and I just needed something, you know, and they were actually doing this whole workshop on death and release. And I was like, how did the universe know that I needed to be here right now?
Right.
That they're actually doing something about death and release, and that's exactly what I need to go through. And it was very transforming for me, you know. Like I don't want to go into too much specifics of the actual workshops that we did, but you know, we had a release, you know, in the woods where I got to let out so much of the anger and the loss and the fear and sorrow that I had onto like a tree, you know, just to pour out this energy. If I needed to yell at it, if I needed to hit it, if I needed to do something, you know, I could get this energy out. And I thought that was the stupidest idea until I did it.
Until you did it, yes.
And when I did it, you know, it was like, you know, 10 minutes later, I'm there, you know, like in like a little crumbled up ball, you know, like a little child, like sobbing, you know, letting out all of this, you know, pain that I was feeling. But I needed to have a place to do that and to connect with men and to come back home feeling super strong and connected. And so that was year one.
Yeah.
And after that, I thought, well, this can't stop, right? Like, this can't stop, right? We can't just stop here. We've got to keep this going now. You know, now I'm plugged in, you know. So within that next year is when I tried to really watch my wife and saw how she was doing women's groups on a regular basis, these different women's circles. And I was like, wow, so you guys have women's circles.
Maybe there's an idea
I was like, I wonder if they have men's circles on a regular basis like that. And she's like, you should do it. And I was like, I don't think I'm qualified enough. I don't think I'm the right guy for it.
Yeah.
And I just kept procrastinating until I kept talking to guys about it. And they were like, why don't you just do it, Roots? Like, do it. So within that year, which was this 2017 coming into 2018, I took the leap. I called up some guys and I said, I want to have a men's circle. I'm like, no one's going to respond. I was like, it's such a dumb idea. And I got like 8 guys that said, I'm coming, definitely.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa.
Maybe there is an interest there, and maybe there is something that they haven't been given.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we're just going to take a little break here, but you know this is good. So for everybody watching, we'll be back right after this break. Stick with us. Welcome back to I Am. I'm Eric Faria, and once again I have here with me Darut McGregor. So we were talking about how the idea for having a men's group, right? After seeing your wife going to her women's group.
Right.
So what are some of the challenges that you have with this new men's group that you are leading?
Well, I mean, I think one of the challenges that you have is commitment. You know, when I'm trying to follow the protocols of some of the different circles that I've seen or read about, and they meet on a weekly basis. And right now we're meeting bi-monthly. And sometimes it might even stretch out a little bit further, you know, depending on how busy everyone is.
Yeah.
So for me, it's really just trying to get everyone to commit to trying to be, you know, in a circle on a weekly basis or maybe every month, you know.
Right.
for me, it's really important because I think that, for one, you can't get away from doing the work. You have to do the work, right? And if you have a space to do the work and it's provided for you, then you should take advantage of it. You know, because you never know when you're going to get that opportunity again. So even though it is challenging to get that commitment, I kind of found a little circumnavigation around it. So I was talking to some of my guys and saying, hey, you know, what would you think about having a text group? So this text group, which is a little bit, you know, more regular, this is something that I can do every day. And you don't have to travel to my house. You don't have to worry about, you know, if I can commit to being there or not. You've committed to being a part of this text group. So this text group takes away a little bit of that pressure or maybe the uncomfortability that you may have about being in a circle, being with men, and really sitting with that discomfort, which is absolutely a good thing to do, but not everybody's ready. But it's
hard, yes.
Right, not everyone is ready. So we have the text group where we totally have a way to connect with each other every day. And like I was saying to you before, it's like men's circle right now. You know, I went to Florida to visit my mother, and my mother is elderly, and I felt like she was being taken advantage of by someone. And so I went to this place and I was super angry at this car dealership, and I'm like, I'm gonna walk in there, I'm gonna rip somebody's head off, you know. And before I walked in there, I sent a text message to the group. I'm like, guys, I'm super stressed out right now. I feel like I'm gonna do something crazy, and I kind of just need someone to talk me down, right? Because, and here, you know, as soon as I send it, you know, like 2 minutes later, I get a text back, you know, like, brother, I got you. Brother, I'm sending you love.
Wow.
You know, brother, don't do anything you're gonna regret.
Yeah, just like that, you know? Communal sense, and
so,
people came together.
And that's something that I think is so important, because that's the brotherhood that we're really looking for, you know, and that's the community that we are striving to have, you know. So having that has shown me how beautiful it can really be, and it's really, I think, changed the relationships that I have with some of my friends that are in there, because for one, we're a lot more open and honest. You know, like, there's no BS.
Right, of
here,
course.
you know, and
you have to be.
You have to be really upfront.
Exactly.
And you have to give 100, you know, and, you know, so we have our regular check-ins once a week. If, you know, you check in the morning, hey, this is how I'm doing this week, you know, but I try to send a motivational message every day out to the group to get everyone started, you know, so the first text you get of the day, hopefully, is a good text, you know, because I'm up early in the morning, so you're getting a text at like 6 in the morning saying, I love you. Right. I think that's a beautiful thing, right? If
it
the first
is to
text
wake up
you see is
like
to say, brother, I love you. Brother, have a great day.
Have a great day.
You know, brother, set your intentions high today, you know? And to make sure that there's always
and it kind of sets the tone for the whole day.
Absolutely. You know, and I'm by far not the greatest or at my highest level at all, but I'm growing, and I'm working, and I'm honest about where I am, and I think that's what the guys in the text group get from it. You know, like, Roots isn't trying to BS you. You know, he's going to give you, you know, real talk. We're going to talk straight. And I'm going to share with you what's really and honestly going on. I'm going to be super authentic. And if I don't feel what you're doing, I'm going to let you know I don't feel what you're doing. And if I feel what you're doing, I'm going to support you 100%. You know, but at least, you know, you're in a total place where someone is looking at you for who you are. It's going to talk to you straight, and you're going to get that love and support that you really desire. You know, and that you may not have found somewhere else as a man. You know, you might not have thought that was possible. You might have thought that your friend can only give you superficial conversation and talk to you about your kicks and how nice your rims are, and, you know, do you want to go to the strip club, or did you watch the football game?
It's usually about sports. I was just going to say, and you mentioned it on the phone.
You know, is that all that we can talk about? Are you not going through anything else? You know, there's nothing else that's bothering you? You know, like, don't you have a desire? Isn't there a goal that you want? Maybe you're not satisfied at this job and you want to break out, but you're scared and you don't have anyone to talk to about that. And maybe you just need that support. Someone tell you, yeah, man, it's a good idea. Or, hey, think about it a little bit more. You know, but you need that support, you know? And I think that that's something that we're not easily ready to reach out to do as a man. You know, you're not ready to say, hey, I need help. You know, like, I took a 5-hour course the other day, and one of the examples they showed of a man was an older man saying, yeah, you know, I don't use GPS. I'm a man. I don't need to know directions. I don't need to ask someone directions. And I was like, are we still pushing this old-ass stereotype of men?
Oh, my goodness.
I'm like, are we really still doing that in 2018?
I know.
Like, that's what we actually, so a man that even has a tool to get him there will say, no, I don't need that because I'm a man. I was like, come on. I was like, come on, like, we've got to change.
We have got to do better.
We've got to do better.
Yeah.
We've got to do better. And, you know, that old paradigm does not work anymore.
No, it doesn't work anymore.
You know, it does not work.
Not now. Maybe it worked in the 50s and the 60s, but not now.
Yeah, I don't even think it worked back then.
I don't think it did back then either.
I don't even think it worked back then.
People were just conditioned, so it kind of like became the norm.
Right. Part of like what we were talking about before, the cycles. You're just there in such a cycle, and no one is making the attempt to step out. You know, everyone's trying to be part of the status quo.
Keep to yourself. Don't, you know, overstep your boundaries.
Absolutely.
Don't say anything. Just, you know.
Right. No, be this button-up, tight man that has nowhere to let it out, and except when you may come home and you're drunk and you end up having some kind of domestic violence situation with your wife because you have all this repressed stuff that you've been forcing down for years, and then one day it just explodes because you've never had a place to let it out. You know, that stuff has got to go.
It does.
That paradigm no longer serves us as men, and we're really trying to change that. You know, and that's what we're looking forward to move into. That's the space we're looking to move into. You know, that's what I'm trying to share with men.
Yes. Amazing. Perfect point to stop here. And we'll be back. And yeah, for everyone watching, we'll be back after this. There's more to come, so stick with us. And welcome back to I Am. Once again, I'm here with Darut McGregor. I'm just going to jump right in.
Okay.
And we were talking during the break about toxic masculinity, right?
Yes.
And it is something that's still pervasive.
Absolutely.
And could you just elaborate, you know, dealing with other men, you know, having your group, your support system through the text and, you know, in the circle. What do you think? How do you see it?
Well, I mean, first, as a man, that first year that I went to the men's weekend, it was actually called, finding the sacred masculine, you know, and empowering that, you know, and really getting back to, you know, those rituals and those rites of, and learning how we used to have initiations and we had elders, and we're missing all of these things in our communities now. You know, there are no more initiation rites and there aren't any more of these things. So men are learning how to be men from video games and movies and magazines and all of these other toxic elements that are giving you nothing but superficial ways to be a man. And there are no outlets out there to show you, hey, open up your heart and learn what's going on the inside. You know, we're being taught so much external, you know, you've got to look a certain way, you've got to dress a certain way, but never is anyone telling us as a man to go within, you know, and you need to go inside and find out what's going on in there. And what I've been finding from meeting with these different men is actually, I'm seeing that the shift is happening. You know, there are men that are saying that these ways don't serve us anymore. You know, I need a space where I can be safe to truly express myself, you know, and I think that that is a beautiful thing because we do need that shift. You know, the toxic man, his days are over. You know, his days are over.
They are.
We've seen the shift within our women and how our women are becoming empowered again, and understanding that when the woman refines her grace and finds her goddess energy again, you know, you got to watch out. And you either get down or lay down. And I find that, you know, me as a man in a household with a powerful woman, I got down. And I realized like we've got to, their shift has got to happen. And so I'm very grateful to see it slowly happening. You know, it is slowly unraveling. But I think that if you are, as a man are finding that, you know, you don't resonate with some of this crap that's going on around you anymore, and it's because you're starting to feel that shift, and you need to tap into that energy, and you need to start asking yourself those questions, and maybe you need to just sit quietly, you know, and really try and meditate on that and find out, what am I doing? You know, how am I really expressing myself? You know, what parts of my masculinity am I really expressing? You know, am I expressing only these outward rough edges?
Yeah.
Or am I also tapping into the other parts of me, the softer sides of me? Because there's a balance. Everything in life is balance. You know, you can never have only the strong, tough man.
And forget about the rest.
And forget about the lover, and forget about the magician, forget about your softer side.
Yeah.
You know, that's impossible to do. And it makes you an unbalanced man, and it makes you a toxic man. And then what happens is you get into a relationship, you know, and you're giving this energy off now, right, to your lady, and if you have children, to your children, and now you're showing your male children how this toxic energy is,
and modeling to them the behavior,
and then they to model that, and then they start to just reciprocate that same energy, and then here we go with this cycle all over again. But I think the beautiful thing that we're having is that some of these young boys and some of the young men are seeing something different. You know, and maybe it's the exposure to technology that gives them the opportunity to see things in different places. You know, my children don't even watch television. You know, so there's a whole generation of children growing up now that really don't watch TV. You know, they're more on the internet, or they're reading something, or they're outside. You know, and I think that that's what's causing this shift too. You know, you're getting your mind away from that bad energy, and you're having more control over your thoughts. And with that, you have the opportunity to say, well, that's not the way I want to be. I want to be this way. You know, and if you're not sitting in front of this lie box for hours and hours and hours a day, you know, and unfortunately, that's what a lot of our generation was, because that was the thing to do, right? You had a TV, or if you were rich enough to get a TV, you got a TV. There wasn't an
internet back then.
Right, there was no internet. So you're watching television. So these other toxic men who are writing and producing and directing everything at that time, right? They were totally force-feeding us, force-feeding everyone.
Almost no women voices whatsoever, so you wouldn't get the other side. It was just the men.
You weren't getting that side at all, right? So then even in your household, the women didn't even feel they had the power or the strength, because the world isn't even showing them that they do. So, you know, I was lucky that I had a strong mother, you know, that was a very domineering woman. So I saw what it was like to have a strong woman in your household. But those things are slowly starting to shift, and I feel that this next generation is going to bring in a new energy. You know, I think that we've got a lot.
I hope so.
Yeah, I think that we've got a lot of indigo children out there, man. There's a lot of new things happening out there, man. And the fact that, you know, the younger, not even like children, I'm talking about men in their 20s that I saw at our last men's weekend that are so open and receptive, you know, to this whole thing of brotherhood and community of men, and doing what it takes. And if we have to come and make sure that we clean up this land before we leave, and we leave the land better than it was when we were there, you know, like there's no we're not just coming to party and, you know, leave beer and stuff everywhere. That's not what's happening. You know, there's actual concern for the property.
And a new consciousness.
A whole new consciousness to how we interact with each other, you know, and what it's like to get together as men, you know. So like I said, it's nothing superficial. We're going to touch on everything.
I agree.
And really get in deep with each other. So now when you come to a weekend like that, you leave with truly new friends.
Right.
You've connected with some new men, you know. And these are guys that are doing different things in their lives, you know. So it's a beautiful network.
That's amazing. And what I really love about what you're doing is that you're getting men outside of their comfort zones.
Well, that's what it's all about, Eric. I mean, if you're not, just like with working out, right? You're not going to grow muscle, and you're not going to get stronger if you don't push yourself to that point where it hurts, right? Where it's a little uncomfortable. Like, you know, when you first start stretching, you can't stretch that far, and it hurts. And you got to sit in that uncomfortableness for a minute until your muscle loosens up, right? In order for us to break this cycle, in order for us to get out of this old paradigm, we've got to sit with that discomfort. We've got to sit with that, I don't know what it's like, I don't know. Just like how I said, I don't know if I'm the right guy to start this, and I was uncomfortable with it.
But you did it, and now,
I did it, and now it feels like I could never have not done this. You know, I feel like this is the only thing that I can do and want to do, and want to do more, because I
should be doing.
Absolutely, because it's communal, and because it's not just for me. You know, that's why I feel like I found something that's bigger than myself. You know, so that
you found a purpose, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That's amazing. Oh my God, yes. Purpose, that's what it's all about.
Yes, indeed.
Great. Darut, so we're coming to an end here, but before we go, I always ask my guests if there is maybe a piece of art, right? It can be music, it can be a painting, it can be a movie, whatever it is that you would recommend that they seek out, and it can even be your own music, so people can be moved and inspired by it.
I will tell any men that are watching, they should definitely pick up that book, King, Warrior, Magician, Lover.
Yes. Yeah.
It is a beautiful blueprint. It will change your life. It will change your whole perspective on what it is to be a man.
I will definitely look for it.
And your growth from your youthfulness. And you'll see yourself in this book. That's what I think is very beautiful about it. You will see yourself. It doesn't matter where you're from. You will see yourself in this book. So definitely pick that up.
Right.
And pick up anything by Wadada, my group, Wadada the Love Movement. Current EP out is called True Root. And next one coming is going to be Seeking the Magic Within, coming out at the end of this month. And it's conscious medicine, music, hip hop to uplift your spirit, uplift your mind, and definitely give you a new perspective on things.
I love it, and I will put it on the show notes so people can actually access it for sure.
And one more thing.
Of course.
awakeningman.us. That is the website for our men's group that organizes these men's weekends. We've done 2 amazing men's weekends in New York at Growing Heart Farms, and it's an amazing event. You should go to awakeningman.us and sign up and register. Become a part of this community, because we will be doing more of these events. And we found the perfect number. So become a part of the number so that you don't get left out and you're on the waiting list for the next weekend, because we've shortened the number and we feel like about 35 men is the best container to have, where we can really get close and really get tight. And so reach out to us, register, and become a part of this community, and let's grow together.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And all of this will be in the show notes. People can actually, access it.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Darut, for being here. I really appreciate it.
Give thanks.
And you will be back in another episode to talk about your music, yes?
Give thanks, yes. Yes.
All right. So for everybody watching, thank you so much. I will see you next week with a new episode of I Am.